Okay, my friends, hello, this is Stephanie Ritter-Mott, and I'm the president of Courageous Living, a life coaching business. And one of the things I love to do with my clients is help them to maximize their gifts and talents by taking them further and farther than they ever thought possible. And one of the ways I do that is through informational videos. And I have a really special guest who's also a very special friend that I would like to have her share with you about CBD. So we're hearing a lot in the news, especially different states, legalizing the recreational marijuana. But I think people get kind of confused when you hear the CBD patches. Some of those terms can kind of like, well, if I take CBD, does that mean I'm going to be getting high and things like that? So I've asked Marcy to join us because she's been doing a ton of teaching videos on her YouTube channel and on her Facebook. And I'm going to put all of her contact information below because she is like the pro to go to. And all of her stuff, there's short videos, but they're so informational. There's so much to learn on this topic. So Marcy, thank you for joining me today. I know you share a lot on this topic. So this is something you probably could quote in your sleep. But I also believe with 2020 here, that maybe there's some changes on the horizon that maybe we haven't heard about, or maybe that you're kind of getting wind of that through Zija because you're very much involved with Zija products. So before we go down that path, could you share with our listeners, our audience today, a little bit about you and how you kind of you've always been active. You've shared how you've done volleyball. I know you work out. But what kind of got you down this path with Zija and all the more the healthy products as far as essential oils, nutritional products? I mean, kind of what made that switch for you?
All right. Well, thanks for having me on your wonderful channel. I love your videos. You do such a great job with them. They're awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. I always have been active, not always so much into nutrition, especially when I was younger, but I love that subject. And my friend had lost 20 pounds on Zija, and that's what drew me to it in the first place, because I had put on weight when I was getting really close to the age of 50. So I wanted to lose 20 pounds too, and I did. And what has really drew me in the first time I heard about it, and that's kept me in, is the moringa, because moringa is full of so much good nutrition. This plant that has 92 nutrients, it sustains life. It was different than other weight loss programs that I had ever seen. So I like that because it's more than that. It's all about your nutrition. And then when they added in the essential oils and getting to that whole world of really trying to replace the toxic, harmful chemicals that are in products for cleaning, beauty, around your house, to try to just shifting some of those things out. I don't need to use Windex. I can use peppermint or lemon with water in it and maybe a little vinegar, and it can do just as good a job, if not better, and not be spraying chemicals into the air that we're, especially with the houses closed in the winter. Exactly. We're just trapped in there with those chemicals. So that's what drew me into Zija, and I've been with them almost 8 years now. And then when the CBD came out last March for us, I had no idea what the heck it was and what the difference was between marijuana and CBD. And I was like, what are we getting into? And I had the same questions that, like you say, most people probably do when they hear CBD, and if they don't know, and is it legal? So I've been really trying to learn all that. And what I'm the most excited about with it is just the results that people are having, that they can have pain go away, anxiety, depression. For me, it helps me with my hot flashes, and all doing this with a plant that is, healthy and not filled with chemicals or medication. So yeah, there's a lot. I would love to go over some of these things that people are thinking about with CBD and help try to clear it up.
Yeah, and you've been doing that a lot with your videos. And before I talk about kind of the 2020, if there's things coming down the pipeline for that, at work we did with our attorneys, they did like a little seminar on CBD. And so I'm kind of interested to hear what they had to say, because they came at it more from the legal perspective, like if your employees are doing CBD with patches or oils or anything, to kind of educate people so they don't think automatically, oh, marijuana, because it's a derivative more of the same plant, which I'm going to ask you to go into a little bit more. But it was interesting because our attorneys were talking about it. So I thought, okay, this is now in the workplace. And I think it's important to know that because there is a lot of, we hear recreational marijuana, we hear CBD, we hear it's from hemp or the plant, and then we hear about hemp and cannabinoids. And it gets to be like, okay, what is, the legal side to all this stuff? And so could you share, and I know you've done this so many times, but would you be kind enough to share a little bit about the terms when we hear hemp or cannabinoids? Maybe just even take us through the whole plant and how they kind of split off based on the TCE and things like that, or THC, I'm sorry. Would you mind sharing a little bit about that for our listeners?
Oh, of course not. And so the overarching plant is the cannabis. And that people like us growing up, we probably just interchanged that with pot. And pretty much there's fine enough reason that it was, but the overarching plant is cannabis, the species. Somebody described this, and I like this a lot. And then you have marijuana here, hemp here. It's the difference of like what a wolf is and a dog, that there's just a little bit difference. And so what legally defines hemp? So hemp does come from cannabis. So does marijuana, but hemp is not marijuana. It doesn't necessarily have to be, is marijuana. The definition of hemp is that it has 0.3 THC or less. And that ties into the 2018 Farm Bill that passed that made it legal, federally legal. The hemp derived
is used in other products, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
so there's a whole great history with hemp that it's great for clothing. The same acre that produces hemp derived like paper, that they make paper from the hemp, can do like 4 times as much production as the same acre of trees. It provides way more like carbon dioxide, however that works. I'm trying to think, but trees like our carbon dioxide, right?
Yeah.
It's sustainable, and it doesn't require all the pesticides and chemicals, like especially compared to cotton. Cotton's a huge pesticide user around the world that uses like 1/4 of all the pesticides. So you can make clothing out of hemp. Hemp got demonized in the 30s. It got scheduled as classified as a Schedule 1 drug, along with like heroin and other major drugs. And it was all to do with money, because the DuPonts had trees. They wanted people making paper from trees, from their trees. They didn't want people making this paper from hemp that grows so much better and faster and with less damage to the environment. And it got demonized along with it in the 30s, and it's taken a long time for people to realize, okay, hemp is not marijuana. At first, when they made this cannabis that had 0.3 THC or less, they called it hippie's disappointment because it does make you high. I've been taking it since March. Never ever felt funny putting a patch on with CBD. I've taken gummies too that have more CBD in them, and again, nothing. It's just it was good for me personally. My husband just lost his job a couple months ago, so when we were going through that time, I was like, well, this is a good time to try a gummy, something with a little bit more CBD in it, and it just kind of took the edge off, but it didn't make me feel funny.
It's interesting because a friend of mine was just telling me about that when she did the gummies, but with her on anxiety medicine, there really was a reaction. And I don't know if it's because she took maybe more than the 1 or 2 gummies. I don't really know. But I remember
it made her sleepy, or
it made her more anxious.
So
whatever it did, it had interaction. But again, I don't think that's a reflection on a good product. Essential oils. You can get essential oils anywhere, but to really find the pure essential oil that really delivers the product and the nutrients and everything, you know, it's different than maybe just going to anywhere to get your CBD gummies or whatever.
Well, that's a very good point too, and that's something I've been trying to do on my Facebook videos and stuff, just to educate people that 80% of the CBD comes from in the USA comes from China, and you really want to get made in America CBD that is grown in America, and we do get one of ours from the UK, and UK has great soil regulations, but when things come from China, you know, oftentimes there's toxins and chemicals in there that we don't want. And when they distill it down, then it's even more concentrated. So really look at where you're getting your CBD and go for the made in the USA.
Yeah, because even if it's grown somewhere else, when I've done other nutritional products, that company's usually overseeing the production of it versus just having the production being done and not monitoring it for the quality. And then, you know what I mean? And I think that's where the challenge comes in, because these products are not being monitored.
Yeah.
And so you get a derivative of the product.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, it just reminded me, when we first started, they referred a study to us, and I wish I could tell you exactly. I could probably find it, but like 80 CBD products were bought, and then they were tested, and only about 40% had the amount that they said of CBD was in there. Some actually had more, but quite a bit had way less. And yeah,
I think it's like any product, Marcy, where, you know, I'm one of those girls that's into skincare products. I'm just like a girly girl when it comes to that. But even if you spend, you know, a lot of money on a product, you know, it doesn't mean it's going to have the same levels of what they say it's in there. Let's just say it's vitamin C. Every company might put a different level of vitamin C in a product. And I think you really just have to kind of educate yourself of what is, you know, how's the product manufactured or grown. And, you know, a little bit more of the history behind it, because you will get these derivatives that are just not delivering. You know, when you said about the, I think it was on the oil, I can't remember, but so a family member of mine was telling me that her son had taken a product, a CBD product, an oil, topical oil. And after a while, like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, he said people at work were saying, does something smell funny? And they were kind of alluding to something smelling like marijuana. And I immediately thought about you, and you're telling about under the tongue, the oils, and we'll get to that in just a second. But I thought that was interesting, because here he was generally trying something calming, a topical oil, but whatever batch he got or wherever he got it was not probably processed correctly. Because I've never known to get off a smell of marijuana. And I think that's why people are always freaking out about this, because of branching the product.
Right.
So
yeah, our patches, you do not smell like that when you use the patches.
don't. You don't. So what is, for the person that's listening, to educate them, when it comes to the THC, I know it's different on the marijuana side and on the CBD side, correct?
Correct.
Do you mind just really briefly going over that part of it?
Yeah, so we have that overarching cannabis, and then marijuana is high in THC, low in CBD. Hemp is high in CBD, low in THC. It has to be 0.3% or less. And the only reason it's in there, they call that full spectrum. And you want full spectrum. All the doctors that I'm learning from are saying full spectrum delivers more results than what they call isolates. And isolate would be that it's just CBD. And I understand why people are looking for that, because they don't want to get into any trouble with the THC, which I'll talk about in just a sec. But when it's an isolate, they're finding they're not getting as good a results. Now, with the THC in this in the hemp derived CBD. And if you get a full spectrum, it has 0.3 THC or less, and it can have far less. It's just part of the plant with all the other constituents in the plant that do all these great things for us and that we want. But like with ours, we cannot guarantee that somebody would not pass that they would fail, that they would not fail their drug test. We can't guarantee that for many reasons. One is we also don't know what else they're taking.
Yeah.
But we've had people in the company in Zija that are police officers, and they're drug testing and they're not having any show up. So that's just good to know that, but it can't be guaranteed, but it is so little that it is, and it has a very short half-life. That's the whole thing with the drops, is that a lot of people take drops and that people are getting good results from them. But there's a few things that some of the drops taste bad, so that's kind of hard to do. It's hard to hold it under the tongue. You have to hold it under the tongue for 30 to 90 seconds to get about 80%.
That's a long time.
It is. And I've tried. And
it doesn't taste good.
Right. And a lot of them don't taste good. I tried my mother-in-law's and it had a little peppermint in it, and so it was fine. But I was really trying to hold it, and in 5 seconds, and it just fell out. So that is an issue, especially with people with more health compromise. Being health compromised is probably harder for them to hold it. That's why we like the patch, because it's 24 hours and it delivers over time, and it delivers some immediately with a water-based powder, and then the oil is over the 24 hours. But so CBD has a short half-life. It is 20 to 30 minutes. You lose half of it. Then 20 to 30 minutes later, there goes another half. So now you're down to a quarter. So that's why people have to keep redoing the drops, and that they like the patch, because on the patch, they don't have to think about it for 24 hours.
Now, does the patch also drop off, like you said, 20 to 30? I'm taking notes as you're talking. Is the patch also dropping off too, or is that?
It is. The fact that the CBD has that short half-life, but the way that they make them, which I don't even know exactly how to tell you, but that it delivers over 24 hours, so it keeps delivering.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
So the THC, you said if it's less than 0.3, it's good.
Yep. Then and it's hemp.
Okay.
Yep.
So so we talked about the oil under the tongue, and I shared about the gentleman that did the topical oil and then discovered that it gave a smell that was not what he would want. For 2020, I know we have legislation going on the recreational marijuana stuff and the medical marijuana, and obviously I'm not talking about that today. But on the CBD side, do you hear or see like what's happening in the CBD world?
Sure. Yeah. Well, it was interesting what you said about the lawyers. I'd like to talk to you more about that, because that is an issue with workplaces and not understanding, just depending on the workplace that even doctors, patients going to doctors and saying, hey, I'm trying CBD. Some doctors, I think more and more doctors are becoming open to it, or just saying, hey, if that works for you, great, keep it up. But I have heard a few doctors that have said, if you take CBD, I don't want to see you. And then I'm thinking, well, then maybe you don't want to see that doctor, because that's ridiculous.
Because they're not really educating themselves up and coming. And it really is. It's something new that's hitting the medical side.
Yeah. And I think the results are driving it. The results of patients having, especially with pain and anxiety, if they're having a natural plant do this and they're coming to the doctors with those results, I think it really is opening their eyes. And it kind of spreads. Like I've had some people that have gone to Mayo, and the Mayo doctors seem to be a lot more open to it. So the more you're with like a research hospital that is learning, then they're going to be more open to possibilities of other things. But yeah, it's got a lot to it with the stigma and the laws.
Yeah. And I think you just have to really educate yourself. And I think if you have a doctor that maybe they're an MD, but they also practice the natural side, they might be more open, which is kind of what I look for, someone who kind of does a little bit of both. Because some prescriptions are needed, but
Right.
go natural. You want someone that's kind of agreeing with you that instead of saying, well, good luck. On the attorney side, they didn't talk a lot on the employment, but what they did is they talked about the levels. And then they were also saying about how they didn't feel that it was still 100% yet if you could show up in your drug testing any levels. But they qualified that by saying, we don't know that individual and what they're doing. I come from an HR background, and so we did drug testing all the time. And if you have someone that does drinks a lot of water, that does skew the test. So there are things out there that people think interferes with drug testing, but because the levels, you'd have to take, like, people used to think like little, it doesn't matter, but it's just sometimes people get misled on certain products and stuff that they take. It's going to skew the drug test. Yes, there are some things that do, but I haven't heard yet, and the attorneys didn't share that CBD did that, as long as they were following the rules, right? The 0.3
Yeah.
or below.
Yeah. No, there's steps in progress that needs to happen. I called the Grand Rapids TSA after they put out on their website saying that CBD products were okay to bring on the airplane. But I called Grand Rapids like that week. They were like, "Oh no, we'll confiscate it."
Wow.
So there's a lot of confusion still, and a lot of figuring things out.
So that's actually a good point to bring up, Marcy, that if you're traveling, that maybe you want to check with the airline or at least the airport you're going through to make sure that, hey, I'm taking just, patches or whatever. What do I need to do to make sure it gets through?
Right.
That's
You
an
would. I would
interesting
want.
point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I had someone who was traveling and she asked me to find out, and I was surprised because I was like, my gosh, it's on their website, and now they're telling me no, they take it. Honestly, I've traveled with the patches. I don't even think they know what they are. They probably think they're Band-Aids.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, it would be something as a traveler, especially international, that you would want to check and just see where laws are at and where people are at on that, so nobody gets in trouble.
Exactly. So in 2020, have you heard anything more about CBD? Obviously, people need to educate themselves more. Police departments, workplace obviously have to be familiar. But is there anything else that you're hearing about CBD? I mean, especially through Zija, I mean, is there some new things happening with it, new discoveries?
Oh gosh, well, I think they're doing more and more research on it for all the medical possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And topical, like you had asked about that, we're going to have a topical cream this summer. So I know our company is working on that, and they'll educate us. I tried to find out some information for you for this. I see things online for educational wise that like to have 20% CBD in the product. That's just something as a consumer that people would want to be really, again, like with our company, you can look up the lot number of the product and put it in the zijadifference.com. You can see where it's sourced, the testing on things. If it's a good company, they should have some kind of website like that, or that be part of their website to research where the ingredients are coming from, and looking at percentages of things. And I'll learn more about this and share with you, but I saw like 20% is what it should be, because they could say it's a CBD cream and there could be 1% in there, and obviously that's probably not going to work as good as the one that has the 20%.
Well, and that was one of my questions about, I was sharing with you, I think a few days ago, about how I'm seeing products now saying CBD facials and creams, and the person that's doing the product is a very known person in that field. But I thought it was interesting because now we're seeing the CBD being added to that. And so you just said 20%. So consumers should really just kind of look at the label, or if they're not sure, call and to see what the levels of CBD are in that product.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll tell you more as I learn on that one. I was having trouble finding good information, honestly.
Yeah. Because I think, it's just like anything. It's a new thing that's out there, but it's such a good thing. You don't want it to get
Yeah.
lost and get bad press because people aren't using this, the guidelines that they should to make sure it's a good product.
Right.
So you have do the CBD patches through Zija, and I've done the patches, love the patches. I like to put a little bit of my frankincense or some type of essential oil and put it on. But I've used it especially when I know I'm in a stressful work week. Sometimes I'll wear it. Can you just share a little bit more, whether it's the Zija patches or patches in general? What is it about them, and where do you put them? Like, you don't put it on your forehead, but what do you do with the patches? Because it is something that's new. It looks a little bit like a Band-Aid or just a patch you would slap on. But to really get the benefit of it, what do you suggest for your audience today?
They say to put them at the base of your neck is one of the best places. Your upper arm on the underside. You can put it on the inner thigh too. Those are areas of thinner skin so that it absorbs into your skin very well and then into your bloodstream. We go anywhere along the spine. If it's specifically for pain, you can put it right where the pain is. Like if it was in the shoulder, you can put it as close as you can to the area of pain where you know it's going to stick and you're not going to keep like bending it and making it possibly come loose and come off. You can cut ours in half. So if somebody had a sore neck and a sore knee, you could put one up here, one on the knee. Ours are waterproof. You can exercise, shower. I've swam in them. If they were to come off, which I think I've had mine come off maybe one time because I probably had like a little edge that was lifted up and then it came off in the pool, maybe one time in the shower too. You can let it sit out and dry and then put it back on with medical tape, so you don't have to lose the value of that patch. But those are some of the best places to put them. But I've had people put them on the bottom of their feet if they have.
Well, I've heard that where the foot isn't there also a particular left or right foot on certain?
Oh yeah. The top
sides?
foot is like a meridian thing, and
the left foot,
like the left foot.
okay.
Yep. And that is
it's closer to the heart traveling up. Is that why?
Well, the meridian, I guess. I don't really know that much about that, honestly, to say why. Yeah. In that people have done it and they're like, ooh, that they liked it, that worked good for sleep, good for like nurses that are on their feet all day and a lot of other jobs that people are on their feet all day. They like the top of the left foot.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, because I remember when we went to a seminar, I remember they talking about that, though. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So how long do patches usually last? I mean, do you wear them for 30 days or do you have to rotate them after so many days?
They're a 24-hour patch. I will tend to leave them on a little bit longer just to make sure I got everything out of there. The ones from CVS are 8 to 10 to 12. I can't remember. And they're like 3 times as much money.
CVS pharmacy?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know they sold them there. Oh
they do. Yep. We were checking them out. They're like 3 times as much and less time. So that was interesting. But
now, did you compare your box to theirs to see the products as far as what's in it?
I haven't done that. I just was looking at it online and saw that the price and how long it lasted. So yeah, I should do that because we have one right around here, don't we? I don't know.
We do, yeah, a couple miles away. I mean, I was just curious because I'm a label reader, so
yeah, no, I need to do that.
Trying to see, is it again like essential oils? How much is really genuine in there?
Yeah.
And your patches are made in the United States, correct?
Yes. Yep. Utah.
Oh, Utah. Okay. Is that why?
That's where Zija's pharmaceutical, pharmatech. That's where our products are made.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. That's where our headquarters are, and that's where our distribution center, one of them is, and then where they actually make the products and they test the products. So they'll test products to make sure they have exactly what we say is in there. And they're made in an FDA level. They don't have to be, their nutritional supplements don't have to be in a pharmaceutical classified factory. There's a name for it and I'm forgetting it right now. It's like it's got initials. But it's like we're proactively having a facility that if they ever do go that level with nutritional supplements, we're there, we're done. The FDA will come in and they'll test things. They can come in at any time and test our products to make sure we have what we say is in the product. Nutritional supplements don't have to, they're not approved by the FDA because they don't do that. It's just like a cough drop. They're not FDA approved. Because people will ask that about nutritional supplements, but they're not, that's not in the FDA realm. But we've gone up the extra steps so that the FDA can come in and just test our product at any time to see that we have what we say we have in it.
So your patches are not FDA approved, is what you're saying?
Right.
You're trying to up the level
of where they're produced. Yeah. And no nutritional supplements are FDA approved because they're in the business of drugs. And food.
So what are some of the testimonies that you've been hearing, or maybe for you, but I know that just what you've been sharing through different social media outlets, you're getting a lot of positive feedback, especially on the Zija products, because that's obviously what you're familiar with and utilizing. But what are some of can you just share briefly what some of the testimonies are?
Yeah, I've had great testimonies in the family. My daughter was my little test subject, and the first few days when she was doing them, they were really helping her sleep. And then we noticed at about 10 days in that with like her anxiety and depression, that she was coming through the door and being a lot more social with us, talking with us, not headed straight to the bedroom and shutting the door, and that her mood was definitely lifted. I've had good results with different pains, and so is my husband Steve that walked through there a little bit ago, and so is my son. It's really helped with his sore, tense muscles. And some of my favorite testimonies are from like people in their 70s and 80s that have so much foot pain that they were scared to walk and they were using a walker. And then within about 3 days, the foot pain went away. So then she's not using a walker because her feet felt good and she didn't have the anxiety that she was going to fall. I've been to a fair, like a craft fair, and selling these, and I had so many elderly people come up and they're like, we're so glad you're here. Like, they're just so happy to see someone out there selling and this being open about it, I guess, and that we could talk about it and they could tell us how CBD was helping them.
Yeah. And you hear it too, in kind of like the Hollywood area where there's one person, I think it's Olivia Newton-John, who's been fighting cancer off and on different times in her life, and recently kind of going down this path. And you have others that obviously, they're just, whether they're using the Zija or whatever, but they're getting some good results from it. So on the medical side, if someone is taking medicines, Marcy, what do you suggest for them as far as if they want to do CBD patches or, use some of your products, the CBD side? And if their doctor's not sure about it, like, I don't know if it works or not, what do you suggest? Should they just cut it in half and see how it works? Or are there certain meds or
there are certain Well, there are medications that it can interfere with that they need to talk to their doctor about. We don't ever give that medical advice. If they're concerned, we just say, yeah, definitely talk to your doctor before you get started. CBD affects your endocannabinoid system, and that's why it does so many good things. But just like there's certain drugs that you can't have grapefruit with,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, then there, it is like the one that I asked one of our doctors, somebody asked me, being on birth control, can I take CBD? So I asked him, and he said it's possible it could affect how well the birth control works. So that's, it is definitely something that people need to talk to their doctors about and get their advice from the doctors.
You just said, and we'll wrap this up, but you just said a minute ago about I thought you said cannabinoid system in us.
Yeah.
Can you share about that? Because I find that fascinating. What?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So the endocannabinoid system is something all mammals, all animals have, and vertebrates and invertebrates. Everybody's got it, and the job of that system is homeostasis. Most people are deficient in it, in the cannabinoids that feed that system and make it work. And it's a system that is receptors and talking to different parts of your body. And that's, I think they think that's why a lot of it is so helpful with pain, because it has to do with the receptors. But if we're all deficient, then it's not up and running optimally, kind of like the leader of an orchestra conducting everything. So we want to feed it cannabinoids. So you can get them from plants like CBD, but other plants have it too, like broccoli, rosemary, garlic, I think ginseng, chocolate, like dark chocolate. And so that's a plant way to get it. And we have them within. And you produce more when you exercise, when you do some fasting, when you sing and dance, you produce like 40% more. So that just explains a lot why some of those things are so great and good for you. People feel good when they're doing them. And they think like the runner's high is actually a cannabinoid within. So an endocannabinoid called anandamide, and they call that the bliss molecule. And it ties in a lot with yoga. When people do yoga, that activates too and produces more endocannabinoids.
I've never heard of that. Endocannabinoids.
Yep.
Set up.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Endocannabinoid.
So is it separate from our other dynamics of systems in our body? Is it something separate, or is it intertwined with other things going on in our body?
It's I would call it intertwined because it has to do with receptors and basically traffic control, like the traffic cop. So I am in a medical field and radiation therapy, and we study, your nervous system, cardiovascular, all the 11 systems of your body, digestive. Nobody ever talked about the endocannabinoid system.
Right.
But it was discovered in the 80s and 90s by an Israeli doctor. And you can look him up. If you just do Israeli doctor endocannabinoid system, he comes up. I'm forgetting his name exactly right now, but I could tell you, and so we could put it down in the description of this. And then it was really being studied in the 90s. He did a lot of that research, but now more and more is happening because I basically think it's because of all the results people are getting.
That's just incredible. I mean, I've never heard of that before. So
Right. It is fascinating too. What can happen when you get your system up and running, because some things actually CBD is very anti-inflammatory, and that's why it's so helpful. But we do need inflammation. Everything's about balance. You need inflammation in your body or you would die. You have to have some inflammation to have responses to things.
Yeah.
The problem is we have so much of it from all the bad food and sugar and different things. So we're usually needing to work to decrease it. But yeah, everything's about homeostasis, and that's our endocannabinoid system is responsible for that. So if we feed it what it needs, then we can make it run better.
Wow. Fascinating. Just fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to put all of your contact information down below. I'll probably take a lot of it from your YouTube channel because you have a lot of links in there, and I think a freebie informational sheet So I'll make sure all that's in here. Is there anything else, Marcy, that you want to share about this topic, or anything that we did cover?
I guess one of my favorite people to watch and learn from that I feel, just really explain things well in a short time. Their names are the Docs, Knox, and we can put this down there too.
Yeah.
They're sisters. They're from a family of 4. The parents are doctors too. The mom went to go work in like a marijuana physical or distribution center or something. She was filling in as a physician because she had retired. In her mind, she thought she was going to see certain people getting medical marijuana, and it turned out to be like grandmas who wanted to play with their kids on the floor, and just a lot different profile of people that she thought. So she kind of got the family going down the cannabis road. And the daughters both went to medical school. They were very discouraged at seeing all the drugs that just get dispensed and no, not good results. So they started paying more attention to what mom was learning about, and they've become endocannabinoid specialists. So they put out like 5-10 minute videos that really describe what we've been talking about in a very succinct way, and I've loved learning from them. So that
I saw their link in your YouTube description or something.
Yeah.
Wrong. Yeah, I did see something, and we'll make sure we put that in there.
Yeah, and just to keep on the lookout.
Learning, and I know there's so much, but I've seen how through phases of my life, different doctors or whatever that are really on the cutting edge of things, and the cutting edge of natural, the cutting edge of just products creams or oils that we need. But a lot of times we use maybe more of a artificial source, a pill or something like that, when we could go to more of a natural resource. So it gets, I think, getting absorbed in our body is what's so crucial. Right. Versus passing through the body because of all the coatings and the way that things are manufactured. So I really hope that our audience really, really glean this information from you today, and really start kind of looking at not just going to a gas station to get a cannabinoid product or a CBD product, but to look at the resource and the quality of that product, so their body can really benefit from it versus just anything that's out there.
You got it. Yep. When our bodies are designed to recognize plants, and that's why the synthetic things usually don't work as well.
Yeah. And we're exposed to the synthetic so much. So Marcy, thank you. This was so good. Just
thank you.
Information. And I know that it's something that, you can't get enough of, because you just have to keep, even I ask you these questions because I've heard you speak on it so many times, but I'm still trying to place how all this works. But
me too.
I definitely believe in it, but I also believe in the quality of the product. And I would just encourage our audience today to just, when you see it in facial products or whatever, I think you said 20%. And you can always.
That's especially for like the pain. That one is more, maybe not in a facial product, but more for like pain when they're using it for pain relief.
Okay, that's good. Thank you for noting that. But yeah, I don't think it hurts to call the company that's making the products just to say, I've done that with just, as my kids were really small, I wanted everything to be, pure and organic.
Yep.
And, I had to make some phone calls. But going back real quickly to like facial products, do you know anything about that as far as what the quality of it has to be? Do you know anything, or is that still so new now that it's coming into our facial products and everything like that?
I need to learn more about that, and I could and help you. And it would be helpful for me too. I would say on that one, I would want to know, where's your CBD coming from?
Okay.
Yeah. Now, like, where is it grown?
Okay. Now,
and is it organic?
And organic. Okay. And is it in the United States only, or is it just if it's outgrown outside the United States, knowing how it's manufactured, possibly?
Yeah. The fact that worries me with the CBD is that 80% of it sold in America is coming from China. And we know like what happened when they've made dog food and baby formula that hurts people.
Okay.
And that's a risk you're running.
Right.
So buy USA grown CBD products. UK is good too. I would want to know where it's coming from and is it organic? Because when it's distilled down and it's got chemicals in it, then it's just going to be that more concentrated. So or organic.
Yep. I think just for our audience is just ask questions, make phone calls if you have to, if you're not sure about the product. But like Marcy said, there's even batch numbers attached to the Zija products. And so, yeah, so at least you have a resource to go back to. So
yeah,
I just think I love it. I love the patches, but I'm still learning, but I definitely love the
me too.
And you have great results with myself too. So Marcy, thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and thank you for sharing your knowledge on this product or this topic, because it is something I think is really hear more and more about. And
for sure.
in a way, which is good. But but we're definitely going to be keeping it in the forefront. So thank you so much, Marcy. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Stephanie.
You're welcome.